is your name.
All right. It is 11/14/2020. One of the big ones in the space papacy. You still got Bezos and Branson, and space is the new heaven. And Werner von Braun put on his gravestone, or had on his gravestone, the Psalm 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, which many take to mean that he knew space was fake, and the Bible had something to say about what is really up there. I mean, that's maybe it's a reach, maybe it's not, but the fact of it is, the space program has always been pretty much an extension of movie magic, Disney. Look at the photo of von Braun and Walt Disney side by side, and it kind of tells you everything about where our space program came from. And it's very interesting when you go back into the roots, into Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, and the occult undertones to much of what we see with the space program. And looking at the Russian space pioneers, Russian cosmism is much of the same. You cannot separate New Ageism and the New Age from any of the space program, because the space program is just a reintroduction of the archaic concept of heaven. But it's a universal heaven, so you can squabble all you want about who has the right God, but everybody buys the big picture provided by mass media, and it's supplanted all religions and all gods. COVID Akbar, Gaia Akbar, the rest of them are even. I mean, look, 2020 showed you. They even stopped running around that black cube for COVID. They all kneeled before the altar of mass media, the de facto world state church. All right, we're joined by the HBIC Cubstar 737. Jesus Cow says, "Oh my God, let's go." Ready or Not 131 and Thirst for Truth. Okay, I haven't sent out notifications because we don't have a whole lot of time. I've been updating my ACPA. It's this Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act lawsuit against Goldfinch for years of cyber squatting. And cyber squatting is a particular thing. It's sort of like, to me, it's like being in possession of stolen property for one, but it's really a form of piracy. And it's connected to trademark and copyright, but it's a very specific area where he had been purchasing tons of web domains, like infiniteplainsociety.org, for example, or infiniteplainsociety.live, to steal traffic. On top of stealing traffic maliciously, which he admitted, so it's different. You know, if you accidentally buy a domain that rightfully belongs to somebody else through copyright or trademark, it's not necessarily an infringement. But in this case, it was malicious by design. We have evidence, etc. So it should be looked at in that context as a part of an extended cyber stalking campaign. I have all the evidence, as many of you know, and I had filed this before a couple of years ago through the United States District Court for the District of New Mexico, but I wasn't able to serve him. I got some extensions. I wasn't able to actually serve him, but that's because he is slippery. But now that he is a co-defendant in another lawsuit, I'm going to serve him my ACP, this Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act suit, through his legal team. And it's going to be very easy to do. And what's more, it's not a trial thing. There's no trial. It's sort of like when you get in a car wreck. It's just an insurance claim. It's a damage claim, and he's at fault. The damage claim, likely troubled, is going to be big. We're talking 5 years of purchasing domain names like my own name, the podcast name, related names to the shop, but so many variations, more than 30, and renewals and renewals. So it's pretty ugly. I'm looking at, and I'm just guesstimating, but just depending on where he lives in what state, let's say it's New York, it might be as much as $100,000 per deliberate bad faith domain registration, and he can't just get rid of them. He's in possession of these things. It's a problem. Anyway, it's a 33-page monster of a damage complaint, and I look forward to dropping it on his lap here very soon. I don't know how he's going to deal with it. And again, I just got lucky, or he got stupid, or one of them did. I guess here's the thing. Garrett Ziegler, the guy who's behind the Hunter Biden laptop expose, he and Goldfinch are really good friends, and I knew this. I figured this out on my own. I I've been counter stalking him, and I realized, okay, wait, he's working with this 501c3. And investigating the 501c3, I found some shady things, and it turns out its status has been questioned for a few reasons. And its status will be probably refuted once it comes out that one of the principal sponsors of it was a political operative. Anyway, looking into this, I realized, wait, this George News QAnon influencer guy, White House press corps, is actually working with Ziegler. Garrett Ziegler is the nephew of Roger Ziegler, who was White House press secretary under Nixon during Watergate. It's kind of interesting how a lot of this history is repeating. Anyway, it turns out that these guys are BFFs. They're, quote, extremely good friends. So the extremely good friend of the guy getting sued by Hunter Biden is my enemy. And he is an unnamed co-defendant. His name hasn't been leaked. I've leaked it to Hunter Biden's legal team. I've made a lot of calls. They've put a lot of pressure. And as a result of my goading, Ziegler came out and admitted that he's like BFFs with Goldfinch. Like they're tight. I'm like, that's perfect. It's perfect. They can sync together. This has taken up a lot of my time today, and I'll be back on a regular schedule likely tomorrow. I'm going to stay up a little bit later on tonight, and I'm going to finalize this, update it, and prepare to drop it. And it is a winner. Like there's like 9 different boxes they have to check to prove that it's a bad faith domain registration. And when he bragged about his crimes to a third party and those emails were sent to me, he admitted his motivation. I can actually prove malice. All right, let's see what's going on. The real Kim Shady posted this from Thursday, October the 5th, 2017 to Wednesday, November the 22nd, 2023 is 6 years, 6 weeks, and 6 days. Apparently it's some kind of a storm reference, but it is interesting, these relationships between dates. And Donald Trump, by the way, is seeking a TV show. He's trying to get back into reality TV, like the next season of The Apprentice. I got an email from him. He said, "Dear Patriot, Crooked Joe's Department of Justice will put me, his leading opponent on trial the day before Super Tuesday, when I will be named the presumptive nominee. This will be an unprecedented moment in American history, and I believe the people of our country have a right to see what takes place in the courtroom, which is why it should be televised. If there's no wrongdoings, if everything is honest and fair, there's nothing to hide from the public. But the Biden-appointed special counsel is trying to keep cameras out of the courtroom." It really makes you think. So Trump's trying to get cameras into the courtroom. G33 says, "Do you care about thumbs up?" No. No, we don't care about thumbs up on YouTube. I wish there was a middle finger up. YouTube is garbage, always has been, enemy of free speech, enemy of the free flow of ideas. They colluded. I'm glad you brought them up. When Goldfinch stole these domains, he bought timosmond.com, and he uses the email address info@timosmond.com and info@timosmond.live to pretend to be me and hack into my accounts. About 8 months ago, he hacked into my Gravatar, my WordPress. He hacked into the Kickstarter and one other. All of these were reversed because I was quick and I filed FBI reports, etc. But he was definitely using these email addresses to counterfeit, to pretend to be me, and to claim rights to my podcast. And he had been emailing YouTube's legal department, and I have these emails. I got these emails the first time I sued YouTube. And these emails, including headers, prove that Goldfinch pretended to be me. YouTube believed him when he said, "That's my voice." So if you want to know how they managed to pull down more than 150 Infinite Plane Society YouTube channels, yeah, it's because this guy stole rights. And the way he did it, he admitted this thing all throughout. He admitted this as to someone else. The way he pulled this off is he actually downloaded all of the music that we play on this channel, uploaded it to a private SoundCloud account where he claimed rights to those as well. We would be live. He would file a copyright claim citing that we're stealing his music and playing it live. Now, he pulled this off for a couple of years. He was a full time stalker. I mean, really, during every live stream, he was always there. And I'm looking forward to hitting him back. But anyway, YouTube is culpable. I talked to the FTC. I talked to a number of agencies regarding, what exactly are we looking at here? And what we're looking at is fourth degree identity theft. Because for a number of years, not only did he shut me out as his competition, but his channels are monetized. He's making money off of the theft of my content and name, pretending to be me. And finally, he was collecting donations with a fake store that he made. Now, was anybody falling for it? It doesn't matter. I saw what was going on, and I had about half a dozen of my friends donate $1 each. I said, hey, everybody donate to this guy so we can have him convicted of wire fraud. That email address that was connected to that PayPal account connects to him by name. We have all this information, and that's technically wire fraud. And I actually have the receipts. I have the receipts where donations were made to somebody pretending to be me. So this guy's just all kinds of criminal. He's a disgusting cyber stalker slash criminal sociopath. Total scumbag. Pretends to be an uber patriot, but I'm a vet, and he's suppressed my free speech for a number of years. So I feel like I'm entitled to something as far as some kind of retribution. It's not even about the money. It's about me being able to, or this channel being able to succeed upon its own merits without some government connected creep constantly burning our stuff down. Last year, we had 4,000 subs and growing on Spotify. It was getting out of control. It was going fast. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to jinx it. But then I monetized it. And the instant I monetized it, he claimed it. And he had our Spotify pulled. I recently had a new Spotify put back up. Anyway, this has been a 5-year plus battle with a very well connected, very wealthy cyber stalker, and we're going to put an end to it very soon. Okay, let us continue here. Plain Dakota said, did he fish you? How did he get the pass? If you want to know more about that case, you can just go to marcusgoldfinch.com. What Garrett Ziegler admitted to, though, is he admitted that he and Goldfinch were BFFs in the White House. You see, Garrett worked for Donald Trump, and Goldfinch was in the White House Communications Agency, a White House press corps. But what's more, in order to establish his street cred, and the reason why he has 300,000 subs with a lot of these QAnon cultists, is that he would share things to show he was in the White House, who he was with. Look, Marcus Goldfinch was sitting at a table with Donald Trump in 2021 at Donald Trump's birthday, 6/14/2021. He was recording the happy birthday, even on his iPhone, as they sang the song. That's how close he is. He's friends with Donald Trump Jr. That's why it's a scandal. It's a scandal that someone who's about to be uncovered, and this is connected to the Biden laptop thing, but it's a big deal because for years Trump has had plausible deniability. Does he know who Q is? Is Trump just pandering, or is he really part of this operation? Is there a secret person with some kind of high security clearance working for Trump? And the answer is yes. Marcus Goldfinch is the QAnon operative. We know his trip code. He was the one with the trip code starting with MG7V, a sequence of characters. But my point of it is, he's Q in the White House this entire time, and the entire time connected to Garrett Ziegler. And Garrett Ziegler admitted this less than a week ago. So this is a recent development. I kind of figured that's how I would win this thing. Just stay in. Eventually they're going to screw up. Eventually something will happen. And it has happened. Inadvertently. Again, I was goading and goading and prodding. And eventually when Ziegler admitted their friendship and he placed Q in the White House. Okay, let me see what's going on in the comments. Angst G says, if Goldfinch had only stuck to being a Power Ranger. Well, he may be the next recipient of the Red Power Ranger's curse. Are any of you familiar with the curse of the Red Power Ranger? It's a real thing. Every single person who has played the Red Power Ranger, including Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I mean Donald Trump's lackey here, Goldfinch. So Goldfinch, Donald Trump's guy, was a Red Ranger. He's an actor. But all these Red Rangers have had like bad things happen to him. For example, the Red Ranger played by Ricardo Medina Jr., he had a samurai sword and he stabbed his roommate over a girl. And then there was another one who killed a couple of old or elderly persons, stole their money, tied them to an anchor, drowned them, just real crazy stuff. And that one went to jail where he auto castrated because he wanted a sex change and then changed his name. So that one was another recipient of the Red Power Ranger curse in jail, auto sex changed with a razor. The other one, the more recent one, um, well, actually, there's one before that. One beat his wife nearly to death and then killed himself. Then the one after that, recently, got convicted of like COVID-19 fraud. That was a more recent one. Look, 12 tragedies that confirm the Power Rangers curse. The last one, though, look, 2019 New Zealand actor Pua Magasiva died by suicide. There's so many of these. They're just like all these Red Power Rangers are murderers and psychopaths. And Goldfinch is the latest one. The one before him got, I think it was COVID-19. I think they stole millions in fraud. Here we go. Austin St. John charged in multi-million dollar PPP COVID relief fraud. $150 million. It's a very elaborate scheme. Red Power Ranger Austin St. John charged with wire fraud. So Goldfinch is going to fit right in with all of them. I've actually been uh, sending him emails once in a while about this. Like, how are you enjoying your curse? I'm assuming it's going to hit him. There's no way that he escapes it. Okay, let's see what else we have. Anyone here interested in voting for any of these puppets? And look, these brainwashed puppets are part of the brainwashing system. They're part of this world stage construct. The idea that they have any use to anybody here in the real world is insane to me, but nobody lives in the real world. Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's one of the worst. This is one of the stupidest ideas that I think I've ever heard. She thinks that everybody online needs to have their real name. No more monikers.
They need to verify every single person on their outlet because, and I want it by name. Because when
what about Smug? Does he qualify?
I've provided them with my government.
If Smug is on your driver's license, then, and look, you can put Smug in parentheses, but I want everybody's name. They need to verify.
Everybody's name, everybody verified. Now, like, I'm not 100% opposed to accountability, but it doesn't mean you have to have your name, your address, everything out there attached to everything that you post. If you cross lines legally or even civilly, there are ways that you can ascertain who somebody is. That's Nick Haley, though. Or Nikki Haley. Horrible, horrible candidate. Okay, I think I have a few more articles here about. Let's go ahead and read through the curse of the Red Power Ranger. I had actually put out an article about this last January. And this was right after Austin St. John was charged with COVID-19 fraud. 150, that's huge, loan fraud. Okay, but that's like the least crazy thing out of all of them. Previous Red Power Rangers have suffered tragic lives and fates. One committed a cold-blooded double murder and robbery. Another killed his roommate with a samurai sword. Another beat his wife and killed himself. And there's one other ranger still on a troubling path. Okay, Skylar DeLeon, convicted of double murder, lured his victims to sea, forced them to sign legal documents, tied them to an anchor, and threw them overboard. He did it because he needed money for a sex change. A few years later, he attempted a sex change with a razor blade and then was returned to jail after he got medical attention. While belief in the curses may have psychological effects, it's not supported by scientific evidence, obviously. But this is undeniable. There's a pattern here at a minimum. Now, I'm thinking here with Goldfinch, yeah, he's going to fit right in. His cyber crimes have been reported to the FBI. The National Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center. I'd never heard of them. I was talking to someone from the FBI when I was trying to get a handle on this, and he said, "Oh, you need to get a hold of IPR." And he thought of it because he said, "What's your business's name?" I said, "Oh, IPR." And he's like, "Oh, IPR, Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center." Anyway, this individual is caught up in the Red Power Ranger curse. Don't think he's going to get away from it. And again, Ziegler kind of outed him. We'll continue through the notes here. We don't have much time this evening. I've been kind of preoccupied. Real life miracle, Virgin Mary statue filmed crying with eyes turning red. I don't know if any of you have seen this from the Daily Star. This is in Mexico, in El Chinel, Mexico. It's been attracting believers, many visiting the church to witness the weeping virgin. I think this is Isis mourning. I think it's an old symbol, the weeping goddess. But anyway, this is obviously fake. But I want to point out that many people believe it. Why? Because they want to believe. And this wanting to believe typifies everybody, but they're changing what people are believing from these more archaic things and traditional symbols and myths to new myths. So in other words, this to me, this belief in miracles has not left us, but now it's aliens, for example, paper mache aliens, lights in the sky, saviors from above that even the most scientifically minded people believe in. It's because they want to believe. And when they fake an alien invasion badly with a bunch of paper mache looking aliens, people are going to believe it because they fall for this crap. And there are more people that will fall for this crap than won't. And again, it has to do with how beliefs are just treated as sacrosanct. These believers are like snowflakes. Got to really worry about their feelings. Can't be hypercritical. G33 says hockey guy allegedly got arrested. Yeah, he's being charged with manslaughter, assuming it's real. I think it's a big assumption. Again, the 47 thing is really just standing out to me as too conspicuous. JFK fan 12345 blocked me. JFK fan 12345 said he was JFK. He was supposed to come out on 11/11. He didn't, but then he said, according to the Julius calendar or Julian calendar or something, it's 11/14. So it's supposed to be today. It didn't happen. Anyway, JFK grifter, JFK fan 12345 has been added to the Truther Wall of Shame. This JFK worship as the new JFK Jr. worship. This is like the QAnon people, the Kool-Aid addicts, are reaching for the harder stuff. So the latest grifter to be added to the list, who just blocked me on X, is JFK fan 12345. He's gaining hundreds of subs a day, actually almost 1,000 a day. He claims that JFK is Jesus Christ in the flesh, survived the assassination. He knows JFK/Jesus. Imagine that. A guy knows Jesus and he's being anonymous about it and cryptic. It's like if I met God, I would probably just tell everybody outright. I wouldn't create a secret identity and drop clues. He claims that the real Donald Trump died in a helicopter crash in the 1980s and was replaced by JFK in a Donald Trump suit. So at some point, Donald Trump was replaced. Many of his 7,000 plus followers believe it. For example, Stephanie says, "Oh yeah, JFK is Jesus in the flesh." So the worship of Donald Trump as JFK or Jesus is a religious movement which sees itself in possession of a New Testament based on the scriptures of Q. It's like a government-funded operation, if you ask me. I think it's government-funded, to discredit truthers as batshit insane idol worshippers. Now, the fact that they are batshit insane idol worshippers kind of makes me think that maybe maybe it's a good thing this happened. Maybe we needed QAnon just to kind of show us where things are at. Interestingly, though, the entire JFK Still Alive thing originates with George Magazine. Because George Magazine was JFK Jr.'s. Well, George Magazine came back. It was Marcus Goldfinch's project where he's pretending to be JFK and dropping Q drops. They resurrected it just in time for the QAnon movement. So on 11/22/2021, a man going by the name Negative 48 said that JFK would be returning to Dealey Plaza that afternoon. Now, JFK didn't show up, and this guy died in a motorcycle accident, although some believe he was JFK Jr. in a suit, in a mask, and he faked his death and he's going to come back. It doesn't explain why his dad is a no-show. Anyway, the fact that people are falling so deeply for these obvious delusions makes the case that we're looking at widespread gullibility. That's why when people question me or question this and they say, oh, you're thinking the news is fake, what's wrong with you? It's like, where are you coming from exactly? Because if your starting point is, I trust the screen at face value and then add or choose what I want to believe as far as the spin, you're not skeptical. That's actually anti-skeptical. We're the only skeptical ones here. Now, the QAnon movement believes it has the truth because it questions the mainstream, but their major flaw is that they don't question their alternative sources. What is astounding is they trust anybody that's not mainstream, no matter how absurd their claims are. So some random guy pretends to be a dead president who died 60 years ago, and people line up to believe it. It's like a drug. They want hits of it, hits of hopium. Now, what explains it? I have a theory. The public has been conditioned to accept media as authority. Those who lose trust in the mainstream lies haven't lost trust in media itself. They just transfer the trust to another source. It's that simple. It's a sort of a pattern. It's a conditioned pattern. Like people who are in controlling relationships tend to go into other ones. People who leave cults go into other cults. People lose trust in their preacher, they might find another preacher. It's like, well, maybe the problem here is you're externalizing your loci of control. You are giving away your power, basically. You're not even perceiving for yourself. You're outsourcing it. So losing trust in mainstream media, but then trusting everything else is just another form of blind faith belief. And grifters, like the person behind the account JFK fan 12345, they are knowingly and cynically taking advantage of brainwashed people who are lost in a world of complete subjectivity. Now, is he a bad person? I would say not any more than your average doomsday grifter bilking the ignorant of their time and energy by offering false hope and salvation. And offering salvation from a non-existent end times threat. So I'd say he's no worse than an Al Gore or Greta Thunberg. Just another unaccountable propagandist, propagating bullshit for personal gain, clicks, engagement, bait, but no regard for the sanity of others. Like, this is a garbage super spreader. And I'm all for free speech, but I think that the people who post these things need to be called out when they are just obviously taking advantage of a lot of sad, lost people. Thirst says it's like Mandela effect on heroin. Oh yeah, it definitely is. In fact, I was wondering about Stavely recently because Trump had said that he's going to be like Nelson Mandela. It's like, what do you mean? Yeah, Trump literally compares himself to Nelson Mandela. This has got to be throwing the Mandela effect for a loop. Let's see if I can play this clip here.
I had a rough day at the office today, darling. I love you very much. I got indicted. And next week I'll be indicted again, and the following week again, and then again, and again, and again.
There is a Republican primary for president still happening right now. And the frontrunner of that race had some pretty wild and notable moments on the campaign trail in New Hampshire. First, Donald Trump on his own legal jeopardy.
This is all Biden stuff, all of these indictments that you see. I was never indicted, practically never heard the word. It wasn't a word that registered.
Trump went on to compare himself to, of all people, Nelson Mandela.
We don't get scared. I'll tell you what, I don't mind being Nelson Mandela because I'm doing it for a reason.
So he's saying he wouldn't mind dying in prison? Oh wait, Nelson Mandela didn't die in prison. That's the big schism there. That's the split in reality here. Which do you remember? I remember Donald Trump died in prison. Oh, really? What happened in your reality? My reality is this. This is how they talk. These Mandela affected all have their own realities. In my reality, my underwear label changed and the Volkswagen logo changed. And Timmy didn't fall down the well. But I do remember Ed McMahon passing out big checks. Oh, really? You probably weren't even born yet. And if Ed McMahon drove around passing out big checks, where are the mansions? Where are the people, the rich people who are like, yeah, I was born into a family that had a lot of wealth because my great grandmother got a check from Ed McMahon in the Prize Patrol. You cannot find any recipients of the big checks anywhere. Where is it? Where are they? They don't exist. And by the way, we have a documentary about the Mandela effect, just waiting to be finalized and produced. And I'll be pushing some of these projects through rapidly here in the near future. Yesterday, I got to put a lot of time into the Penguinotti production, which is a graphic novel slash animation. Eventually, it'll be an animation. But it's a script that we've been working on for more than a year. We have a lot of the preliminary artwork and the characters designed, but I've been working with ChatGPT and some of these other programs like Claude AI and really moving these projects forward. Okay, let me catch up on your comments. Salty Siren says mentanol. Oh yes, the Mandela effect on mentanol. Yeah, mentanol is what they're lacing these red pills with. Okay, moving on. There's a new Economist cover. We can read the future here. And there's so many that predict the future. You go down the Economist, you can find one from like Obama's time in office where it has what looks like a guy in a red hat in a broken queue. And it's talking about how sad and pathetic American males are. But it's the male symbol that's fallen, but it looks like a Q. And it's a red hat before there was a MAGA hat. Or you can find the new shape of Chinese influence, Chinese sharp power, and it's got this big COVID ball on the cover. New shape, Chinese influence, novel corona or novel influenza. It's pretty blatant what it was predicting. So this economist says the world ahead 2024. Votorama, democracy in the spotlight, beyond Gaza, turmoil in the Middle East, multipolar disorder, an undeclared Cold War, Europe steps up, Trump proofing Ukraine, green giants, the new geopolitics of energy, and ChatGPT at work, artificial intelligence gets real. Now, if you look at the cover, it has a number of world leaders, very cryptic, big cube in the middle. I'll probably do a deep dive into this and see what we can, ascertain, but there's quite a lot. Like on the top, I see a dove with the olive branch, which is a reset symbol, much like the phoenix. It's what lets Noah know it's safe to go back. Adjacent to that is the starship, Musk's starship, which is the new ark. So it's kind of interesting. It's next to the dove. It has an hourglass, the time running out. There's quite a lot here, though. I'll probably put some time into this thing. Again, these are always indicators of what's to come. It's like tarot cards, but very specific to the more to the contemporary metascript and what's to come. If you want to know what's on the future, watch Netflix. If you can read the future through just observing what's in the entertainment, because they condition you for the future they're creating. That's how the news benders work. That's how the news benders bend reality. These are your horizon benders, the curverts in charge. Here's some more from Nikki Haley. Every person on social media should be verified by their name. See, I don't think that's fair. What if your name sucks? Some people will have better advantages in the marketplace because they have a more unique name, or because of its spelling, or because it just sounds better. And then some people have generic names, and they're not going to have any distinction at all. But this is Nikki Haley, again, going off about how everybody needs to be verified. The good news is, though, we won't have Chinese. We won't have Chinese bots, Iranian bots, and Russian bots. Okay, here's more. This is, again, Nikki Haley talking about the need to unanonymize the internet.
New social media accounts
social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that,
it's a national security threat to not have your name on there. Unbelievable. A national security threat. Why is that? It's because of mind viruses. That's really what it is. These mental nukes, some idea that disturbs some big section of the world stage. I mean, if you think about it, the auto-hoaxology, auto-hoaxing itself, media deconstruction from an off-world stage perspective is, in a way, very much like some kind of a bomb or some kind of a toxic waste spill that they would have to contend with. I mean, look how they had to deal with Flat Earth self-sabotaging, destroying their own platforms to prevent the spread of what is an absurd idea, right? It should just be so absurd, you should just let it go and people won't think about it. But no, it was something that it challenged them, even though they claim that it's all just based on misunderstandings, ignorance, or something. They sure overreacted. So when she's saying that it's a national security risk to allow people to be anonymous online, what are they really getting at here? And this is coming from the right.
national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
That's incredibly naive. There are so many shameless narcissists out there, and the idea that people are going to suddenly behave, no, not at all. You think I'm going to change what I'm saying? No. In fact, my office address is outside, and I've probably been too transparent. Like most of you know that my truck doesn't lock. Although, since that time, since they stole my muffler and battery, all these police reports have added up. They actually now have a bait car. Now, it's not like the way I would do it. I mean, I was kind of thinking a bait car would be like a human roach motel. Like you sit on the seat to steal the car, and it's just got like glue in there, and you get immersed in it, and you're stuck in the seat, and everything you touch, your hand sticks to the steering wheel, and you're just like stuck. That would be my idea of a bait car. And then you just tow it, just dump it somewhere. But no, it's some kind of a sting operation, which should deter any future muffler thieves. Biff Dawn posted this, and this is interesting because we've been talking about newsbenders and the beginning of our staged movie set reality coinciding with the advent of the faking of the atom bomb under Truman's presidency. And I had suggested that when we enter the news-bent reality, when they hijacked reality, when they claimed that they could blow everything up with the push of a button, it redefined geopolitics, put us into a massive circular firing squad, and now we're in this intergenerational mind-controlled operation where we're born with Stockholm Syndrome. Well, Harry Truman was the 33rd president. Here's a few little interesting tidbits. He recognized Israel as an independent nation at 9:11 a.m. on 5/14/1948, dropped the atomic bombs, helped create NASA's headquarters in D.C. He asks, "Do you like the Truman Show? I think it sucks." So the Harry Truman Show, looking at what happened under his watch, and then the Truman Show movie about a guy living in this staged reality framed by lies. It looks to me like there might be something about this. The name Truman. And of course, Harry Truman, the president, of course, the nuke thing really is fundamental here. Because I think that's when they didn't destroy Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They obliterated objective reality. And it no longer exists. There are no objectivists in the world outside of refined media critics who understand what we're looking at. Okay, let's see what we have here. Going through your comments. I have to leave a little early tonight. I was caught up in all this paperwork. We'll likely get back together here tomorrow earlier, and I'll be able to take calls. There's so much I want to talk about. I want to talk about Netanyahu's neck. I think we have a minute for this. Not that there's anything out of the ordinary here. It's just what his neck looks like. He's 74. But social media users are drawing attention to the neck of 74-year-old Prime Minister Netanyahu. Opinions are divided. Some believe it's age. Others think it's plastic procedures. Some think it's a mask. Others think it's CGI. I think Les Luthor suggested it was truther bait, because in the end it doesn't matter. But when you're debating over this, you're assuming he's real, or that it's an authentic person and not just a character. This is what I call fake. Like, for example, let's debate whether or not there are pyramids on Mars. Well, as long as you're debating whether there are pyramids on Mars, you're accepting the premise that we landed on Mars. You're accepting the premise that Mars is even landable. So they get you debating and fighting over minutia, which presupposes, like a loaded question, that its premise has been established and settled, and now you're just going over the nuance, which is just not the case. All right, we'll be back earlier tomorrow. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's the Inciter. That's INCITER. Every morning I put up AI-generated art, which is kind of a staple of what I've been doing. And if you get our newsletters, there's a ton of artwork that goes into the newsletters, and all of it's going to show up in the IPS Insider, which is going to go into print very soon. And I think art is going to be a major draw, especially when you see the type of work and the memes that we're putting into it. All of it high definition laser printing. There's just so much going into production right now simultaneously. I would like to speed things up, but again, it's like make haste slowly. Everything has to be sustainable, and I appreciate everyone's patience here with everything being shipped out. Books are going out daily. I think the eBay store was cleared out, and the books will be arriving, I think, over the next couple of days. So again, if you're awaiting anything, just check your inbox or send me an email, and I'll get you those tracking numbers. This is Chief Crow Auto Hoax. I'll put a link below for the archives.
I'm on Auto Hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.
Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your